Doctor Strange is rapidly growing into perhaps one of the most powerful sorcerers in history, as well as one of the strongest members of the Avengers roster, able to tap into the fabric of the universe and utilize interdimensional energies to accomplish his goals. His powers are precariously balanced on the edge between absurdity and believability by MCU standards, but perhaps one of his most widely regarded accomplishments is his mastery of an Infinity Stone. First coming into contact with the Time Stone in his first solo outing, Doctor Strange quickly learned how to bend the power of the stone to his own will, and has used it to assist him in battle on a number of different occasions. In Infinity War, he was able to use the power of the Time Stone to see into the future and foresee 14 million different possibilities for what could possibly happen in the coming conflict with Thanos. But is it possible that despite his immense power as a sorcerer, and his ability to sufficiently utilize an Infinity Stone, he still could not see the full picture that was at hand? Well, stick with us today, watchers of the Marvel Multiverse, as we delve into a popular fan theory that there were certain futures that were either hidden from Strange's view or that he lied about outright, as well as discuss why this may be. The main body of this theory stems from one particular scene in the first Doctor Strange movie when the Ancient One is on her deathbed and projects into her astral form in order to buy herself a few more precious moments of life. Strange follows her, and the two have one final conversation before she passes on. But in this conversation, she alludes to having used an ability very similar to the one we see Strange utilize in Infinity War on Titan. She tells Doctor Strange that she has peered into countless possible futures and helped to divert the flow of history onto one course. But no matter what she did and what she tried, she could never see past this particular moment in time. Strange then theorizes that this is when she dies, which she agrees with, and ultimately this turns out to be the case. If the Ancient One is unable to see past her own death, then it makes sense that Strange would likely be restricted by the same parameters. This could theoretically mean that when he peered into the 14 million different possibilities, that he was unable to see past his own death in any of the coming scenarios. So any case wherein Doctor Strange permanently died would automatically be reset, despite what could have directly come afterwards. This could even mean that there are any number of different possibilities and victories wherein Doctor Strange sacrificed himself, was killed, or died in some other way in the process with his conflict with Thanos, or potentially others that would come for the stones later. But he decided not to take the chance of betting on one of these potential outcomes, seeing as he couldn't guarantee what would come after. It's important to discuss the snap in this case, as this logic indicates that he cannot see past his own death. But it is unclear if the snap and his subsequent resurrection or dusting counts as his death. We believe the answer to this question is kind of, and here's how. If there is a timeline wherein the Avengers do not undo the snap, then Strange would remain dusted and would not be able to see the rest of the timeline, and decimated the entirety of the universe in order to create his new vision of universal perfection. If this theory holds weight, then it means that the one possibility where the Avengers win is actually misleading, as it is the only victory where both the Avengers won and Doctor Strange survived and was able to confirm this. There is also a popular subpoint to this theory that states that Doctor Strange is also looking for the reality wherein the casualties are the fewest. If he sees a myriad of different victories where Earth's heroes win, but the casualties are too high to accept, then he may try to steer the timeline on the road to the least collateral damage. Seeing as Doctor Strange is a doctor first, fans claim that his tie to the Hippocratic Oath and his desire to save lives would influence him to take the road with the least amount of death and destruction, which would unfortunately entail the death of Tony Stark at the hands of the Infinity Gauntlet. After all, Tony Stark is the only one with the technology capable of harnessing the stones without one of his fellow Avengers taking the entirety of the gauntlet, which would be far more difficult than simply removing the stones. Upon dusting Thanos and his army though, the entirety of the conflict is ended in one fell swoop. If, however, there is a reality where the Avengers battled each other and every enemy before them until victory, then it stands to reason that the casualty count may well be much higher, to a degree that Strange simply could not allow. To summarize the theory, Doctor Strange saying that they've won is actually quite subjective. As we've covered before, even if the Avengers managed to kill Thanos in Infinity War, or even at some points during Endgame, if the stones still remain, then other beings will eventually come for them. This is one of the reasons why Thanos decides to atomize the stones in the beginning of Endgame. He doesn't want the stones to serve as a temptation for himself and others. And even if Thanos is defeated defeated, the Avengers still could very likely lose when other beings come for them. In addition to this, it makes sense that since the Ancient One is not able to see past her point in time, and in the Doctor Strange solo outing, inspires Doctor Strange to use the stone to look into the future just as she had, in an attempt to see any coming conflicts and resolve them, yet she cannot see past the moment of her own death. It only makes sense that this would apply to Doctor Strange as well, and it would make sense that nearly half of the realities where Strange does not come back, he is not able to see. The realities where perhaps Doctor Strange sacrificed himself or died in some other way, as again in those realities, Strange himself does not return and should be unable to see past these moments. But anyway, my friends, what are your thoughts on this theory? Do you think there were certain victories that Strange could not see? And do you think that there were likewise victories that he could see but ultimately lied about in order to save lives? Do you like this theory, or do you find it all to be very convoluted and are getting frustrated with hearing the number 14 million over and over again? As always, my friends, thank you guys so much for watching the channel. Hit that subscribe button to assemble and join our team, and have a great day.